the student, the S be capitalized as well, and for the C and the word council. Thank you. Are there any more amendments for this clause? Hearing none, we now proceed to the next. Pang mapapabilis tayo.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Godazana, you are recognized.
Go back to clause number 6. There are some errors there. I'm sorry, ayan. It should be amid the initiatives and collaboration of University Student Council. It should be the first one to be mentioned. And then next, college student councils.
Yes.
First is University Student Council, and without S, I'm sorry. University Student Council, remove the S, and next is College Student Councils. University Student Council, and remove the S on after, yeah, right. And yeah, that's good.
Okay, so while we are waiting, is that all, Mr. Godazano?
That's it po. Thank you so much. We can
I now recognize Mr. Bernard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we rephrase the whole last clause that is currently flashed on the screen, which shall read, whereas this shall support the ongoing Kausog program and Green Ribbon campaign as part of the initiatives of the University Guidance Office, Office of the Student Affairs and Services, and the University Student Council, which offers online counseling services, and it shall end there, so that this clause can have a more hopeful and optimistic approach or a more hopeful tone. Yeah, and also so that we can acknowledge that there are rigorous efforts by different offices of the university, but this resolution will be supporting and be strengthening those efforts.
So there is a motion to rephrase this certain clause. Are there any response from the author, Mr. Godazano?
ayan, may I be recognized? I'm sure. So your concern is should be this shall support the ongoing CAUSO program. So you mean that if ever this like office will be institutionalized, they, they still should support this CAUSO program in Green Ribbon campaign. But the question is after this resolution would be like approved, is this program would still be in existence or not? Because if it's not in existence anymore, then I don't know if how this office, for example, will still support these programs if it's not in existence anymore. Because this clause mentioned that there is an ongoing programs that is conducted by these offices, right? So meaning I just stated it that there is an ongoing um, programs from this office. But if you want to make it sound that that the effort is like really grandiose, then I think you can use some adverb and adjective if you want that to happen. So um, can you suggest any like adverb or adjective that could actually make this program more um, sound more like that it is really doing its purpose. So I think you can despite the rigorous, if you want to use that word, despite the rigorous, wait, I look for the exact part that we should put that. I think you should put as part of the active and kind initiatives if you want to
All right, Mr. Godazano, I mean, maybe I will ask for someone to support this manifestation from Mr. Godazano and put it formally into a motion.
Yes, in order for us to acknowledge really these programs by these offices, because it's really really important for this resolution, because um, there are really initiatives and this is really good to address the students' mental health services. So I think we should put some adjective here, and I raise the motion to put the words active and kind initiatives of the University Guidance Office.
So there is a motion to add the words active and kind initiatives, and Mr. Godizano will be typing it here and send. Will be set. The motion raised will be sent here to for the technical committee to be able to follow it precisely and according to the motion. Thank you for that. Are there any other amendments as to this clause, or if you have objections?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, you are recognized.
Um, in the clause number 6, prior to this clause that you are talking, that we're currently amending, if you're going to use University Student Council as like a proper noun, can you put the before the University Student Council? Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, that was also my concern a while ago. However, I wasn't sure about that. Thanks.
And on the clause before that, you also capitalize USC. So I think we should put the before the. I raise that motion. Thank you. Before that clause. the clause before that. Collaboration of the University Student Council. Um, yeah. Thank you.
Is that all, Mr. Godazano?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any, going back to the current clause we are discussing about, are there any other amendments you would want to propose? Okay, hearing none, we now proceed to the next clause. Well, are there any other amendments for this clause? Okay, we just follow the motion from Mr. Bernal. Are there any comments or any other amendments as to this clause? Yes, Mr. Bernal, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to withdraw my motion for the time being so that we can have more time to think about that motion or that concern.
So, Mr. Bernal's motion is now withdrawn. Are there any other amendments as to this clause? Again, are there any other amendments? Hearing none, we now proceed to the next clause. Whereas there is no special institutional or institutionalized office in view that can offer free and accessible psychotherapy services such as individual therapy sessions, relapse prevention and group therapy sessions, suicide prevention and post-prevention programs, training workshops, and personal well-being workshops that can address urgent and pressing mental health and psychosocial well-being needs of the BU community. Are there amendments for this clause? Again, are there any other amendments for this clause? Okay, hearing none, we now proceed to the next clause, whereas the students and personnel in BU must have a common place and resources which is accessible and reliable when suffering from mental health conditions and needing psychosocial assistance. Are there any amendments for this clause?
Be recognized po.
Again, last call for the
Present.
amendments for this clause.
May I be recognized?
Sorry, my device was muted. Is someone who would like to be recognized? Kindly
Yes.
chat it here in the chat box. Yes, Miss Larce, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I move to change BU to Bicol University and add the word enough before the term resources. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any other amendments you would want to add?
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, you are recognized. Kindly introduce your name.
Hi, I'm Denver Gudizano. I'm the proponent
Okay.
of this resto. Alright, so if you're going to use Bicol University in full word, but it's already mentioned like the very first in your suggestion of the Bicol University. So I think it's much better to just put it like BU because it's
Yes.
already mentioned repeatedly on the entire resolution. Thank you. I raised that motion um to return it back to the to its abbreviation BU. Thank
Thank you. Actually, the chair supports the sentiment of Mr. Godezano as the correct version or the form. Now, are there any other amendments? Hearing none, we now proceed to the next clause. Whereas the BU administration must create a long-term initiative and institutionalize a mental health service for the academic community that requires significantly more funding and human resources to serve those in need of psychological support. Are there any amendments for this? Again, last call for this clause. Are there any other amendments? Hearing none, we proceed to the next clause. Whereas providing mental health services is only a part of the solution to the university's mental health problem, as the cause of worry and grief is rooted in the systemic issues such as government incompetence, social environment, peer pressure, and other personal affairs. And these conditions that make students and faculty vulnerable to mental health remain generally unaddressed at an institutional level. Are there revision or proposed amendments or revisions for this clause? Again, are there amendments for this clause? Hearing none, we proceed to the next. Now, therefore, encouraging the general legislative members to redouble their efforts to recognize the universities and local communities' ongoing mental health crisis, to raise awareness of the problem's structural origins, and find long-term remedies that address these underlying issues.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, Mix Good is on your record.
Can we add the word will before the word address because it's like future and that I raise the motion to add the word will before the word address.
Thank you for that, Mr. Godezano. The chair would also suggest to add the word council in the phrase or to complete the term or the term for the General Legislative Council. So kindly put the word council before or after the word legislative. Okay, so are there any other amendments or comments or objections for the proposed revision or amendments for this clause? Okay, kindly introduce yourself. You are now recognized.
I am Ms. Larson.
Yes, Ms. Larce.
So I move to replace the phrase General Legislative Council to I move to replace the phrase General Legislative Council members to members of the General Legislative Council.
Thank you, Ms. Larce. However, the chair believes that the motion you are raising is just the same as how this phrase is placed presently or at the moment. So there is no need for the rephrasing and for the rephrasing of this clause accordingly to your motion.
So I will withdraw my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other amendments for this clause, we proceed to the next. Be it further resolved that the GLC must campaign for programs as well as advocate for the institutionalization of services and the establishment of similar initiatives, highlighting the urgency that the BU administration must acknowledge the growing mental health crisis and the damage it has caused on the university's stakeholders. Are there amendments for this clause? Hearing none, we proceed to the next. Be it further resolved that the GLC will express solidarity with students who are dealing with mental health concerns by advocating for inclusive academic policies, particularly for online programs, and also condemns the state's injustices and systemic societal failures that are exacerbating the crisis. Are there amendments for this clause? Hearing none, we now proceed. Be it further resolved that the GLC will call on the BU administration to condemn attacks on students and all other BU sectors as this contributes to the conception of an unsafe environment and fuels mental health issues, to create a collaboration with the administration and the university stakeholders that will remain dependable in providing legitimate support and resources for the marginalized. Okay, are there amendments for this clause? the chair would like to ask if it's amenable for the author to uh, specify what particular attacks are you referring to so that it will be more clear for all of us. Or would you like to explain why it's only the word attacks here?
Yeah, I think I put that word because there's a lot of student activists in Bicol University. Government's attacks on them fuels mental health issues for them. For example, um, for student journalists, even if they don't, if for example, even if they do not do something that is wrong or something that is really against the state, and they are being red flag, right? So those are the attacks that I am referring to the mental health of the students. If they are like, constantly worrying every day that if someone tailing them, if someone like, threatening them, so that affects their mental health. Their, so meaning, the GLC has responsibility, for example, that when these things happen, at least we can do something to at least, condemn these attacks on students. But if you want really to put like, in particular, like, particular cases, I think that's somehow could be more dangerous because you can really name students who underwent this attack. And it's something that is sensitive.
Exactly. So that's now we proceed. Are there any more amendments for this particular clause? Hearing none, we proceed to the last. Am I correct? Be it finally resolved that the GLC will continue to support campaigns designed to determine and address the root cause of mental health issues at a systemic level in order to find inclusive solutions that will significantly ease the burden faced by the BU students, faculty, and staff in striving for their productive aspirations as members of the academic community. Are there amendments for this particular or clause? Hearing none, are there anyone who to adopt all the amendments for this resolution? But before we proceed to the division of the House, I would like to request from the SecGen to kindly read all the amendments.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Godet.
since the amendments are not that like super major, I raised the motion to suspend the reading of the amendments and proceed to the voting for the adoption of these amendments.
There is a motion to suspend. Are there any Again, there is a motion to suspend the reading of the amendments. Are there any seconds?
I second.
Okay, therefore we proceed to the next motion, major motion by Mr. Godizano for the adoption of all the amendments for this resolution. Do we hear?
Second.
Are there any manifestation, objection, or comments? Having no objection, the motion for the adoption of resolution number 5 or the motion for the resolution Resolution number 5 series of 2022 is hereby carried and approved by general consent. Now we proceed to the next. The chair would like to suggest for someone to raise.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized? The motion to move resolution number 005 series of 2020.
There is a motion for the ratification of resolution number 5 series of 2022. Do we hear a second? Again, do we hear a second?
I second.
Now, are there any other or are there any manifestation or comments? Hearing none, we now proceed to the division of the House. Are you ready for the question? Now, for those who are in favor for the ratification of resolution number 5 series of 2022, you may kindly proceed to the voting poll in the designated voting or group chat indicated designated for the voting members of this assembly. For those who are not in favor and for those who wish to abstain, kindly do the same. And you will be given 2 So the poll is now created. The timer starts now. Again, we need a 2/3. We need to reach 2/3 of your votes for this resolution to be ratified. However, I would like to point out that I would like to ask for the assistance and suspend first the voting for the ratification since we lack of participants active right now, and I request for the assistance of the Surgeon at Arms and Public Relations Committee to please assist the chair and the secretaries in making or ensuring that the participants or attendees here in this council meeting is sufficient for the results to be valid.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, you are recognized.
I raise the motion to suspend the voting for the ratification of this resolution number 5 series of 2022 for us to contact and achieve the quorum before voting. Thank you so much.
So there is a motion to suspend the voting for the ratification of resolution number 5 series of 2022. Do we hear a second? Again, do we hear a second? Okay. By the power vested in me, Mr. Godesano, I now honor that motion. There's no need for you to put that in motion anymore. So the chair ordered already to suspend the voting for the ratification and now proceed to the contacting of the members who are not present here in this council meeting. Thank you. Kindly wait for about 2 to 3 minutes for the Surgeon at Arms and the Public Relations Committee and all the other concerned council members to please rejoin here in this meeting. And I would like also to request for the CSE presidents to please help us in reminding your representatives to please be present ask for the sergeant at arms or their proxies to kindly enlist the members again who are not present in this council meeting. We need to reach a quorum for the ratification to be valid, uh, to be a valid result. Okay, now for the clarification of the validity of votes, I now would like to call Ms. December Amendones to read to us or present to us about the validity of the result of the voting for the ratification. Again, while we are waiting for the secretary, please encourage your for the CSE presidents. You would like to request for your assistants to please tell your representatives to kindly join this Zoom meeting for us to assure that the results of all the voting will be valid. Thank you. And again, requesting the assistance of the PR and Sergeant at Arms to please enlist again and mention the names of those who are not in the meeting and make them join here with us. Thank you. Again, please cooperate. We are requesting for all the CSC presidents, and if you have friends or close friends here in this council meeting and you notice that they are not here, please tell them to please rejoin because we need their attendance in order for the votings to be valid. I recognize Miss December Almendones, the Secretary General.
Hello, Miss Chair. Hello, Miss Chair. Uh, as stated in our file pro, in the special meeting, we don't need to have a quorum po. But in voting, um, we will be following, for ratification, we will have two-thirds of the present members of the members who have a voting power, and also for the um, for the non ratification, we can use the majority. So our meeting is still valid. Carry on.
Thank you, Ms. December, for that manifestation. Now we proceed and continue to the voting for the ratification of Resolution Number 5, Series of 2020. Again, you may resume to voting again with the poll that was created by the technical team. The name of the poll is Ratification of Resolution Number 5. Time is up. Now I will read the result. To those who are in favor, it got 55 votes, not in favor 0, and for the abstain 0. So therefore, the motion for the ratification of resolution number 5, series of 2022, a resolution entitled Urging the Bicol University Administration to Establish and Institutionalize a Psychosocial Support Service and similar mental health initiatives across the BS system to address the ongoing mental health crisis in the university is hereby carried and approved. Congratulations. Now, again, due to personal and urgent matters that the chair will have to attend, I would again relinquish temporarily my post to the pro tempore, Mr. Sidney Joseph Corren.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So now as the pro tempore, the power vested in me, I'll be assuming temporarily the position as your presiding officer. Now following the order of business, we're going to proceed to resolution number
Hello.
007, a resolution urging the Bicol University Student Council to provide a monthly sensing form for the students' mental and financial health capability amidst post-pandemic transitions. Before I proceed, are there any concerns?
Mr. Chair, can I be recognized? I just want
Yes,
to
please.
thank everyone from ratifying that past resolution. Ayan. Thank you. I forgot to introduce myself kanina because I was really excited to present that resolution, and I'm then Rizan, the editor-in-chief of the Bicol Universitarian, and I'm really thankful for all the members of the General Legislative Council and all their inputs to better the resolution number 5. So there are a lot of students who suffer silently to mental health, and we all know that because at one point in our lives, we experience all the darkness, breakdowns, and loneliness. I hope, you all overcome that. So, as members of the Legislative Council, it's a bare minimum for us to help all of the students who suffered and is continuously suffering to lack of support. So, may that ratified resolution be the start of little steps that will lead us to end the stigma attached to mental health. And for the last note, I hope that our student regent will eagerly and enthusiastically campaign this to the Board of Regents. So may the good God help us for the betterment of the well-being of our students. So thank you so much for the council.
Thank you, and again, an applause is in order. Virtual applause is in order. All right, proceeding. I now invite the proponent, Ms. Christine Larce, for the presentation of the resolution in its first reading.
Am I audible ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Ayan, good afternoon everyone. I'm Christine Y. Larson, the incumbent Pusang CSC representative. And my pronouns are she, her, and them. So we all know that the COVID-19 and the resulting economic recession have negatively affected many people's mental health and created new barriers for people already suffering from mental illness. And it has disrupted the world in unimaginable ways. And as we look back from the past 2 years and the harsh repercussions of the pandemic, it still continues until today. And it is apparent that one of the most impacted sectors was education. And neither the world or educational institutions were prepared to embrace the shift to online platforms brought on this transition. So with that po, allow me to present to you the resolution urging the Bicol University Student Council to provide a monthly sensing form for the students' mental and financial health capability amidst post-pandemic transitions. So, whereas the pandemic has taken a heavy toll on the mental health of college students, particularly those from poor households who worried more about tuition, gadgets, internet reliability, as well as future job prospects compared to their more affluent peers, according to the research by FINMA Education Network. Whereas FINMA Education, composed of nine secondary and tertiary educational institutions around the country, also found that the financial situations of their households affected the psychological well-being of the students, with those from lower income classes concerned about the funds to cover the cost of enrollment and adjusting to distance learning. Whereas a monthly sensing form to check the students' mental and financial capability to support their online classes. So it will be used to contextualize and plan student-centered projects during the pandemic and post-pandemic transitions. Whereas mental health is defined as the state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potentials, copes with the normal stresses of life, works productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community, according to the WHO 2005, page 12. And whereas the financial health is essential in students' ability to handle their financial needs in studying. Whereas Bicol University Student Council shall coordinate with Bicol University Office of the Student Affairs for the content proper of the sensing forms, whereas the students of Bicol University shall fill out the form, and the form is composed of three parts. For the first part would be the student personal information, and for the second part would be the mental health check, and the last part would be the financial health check. Whereas the form should be filled out by at least 90% of bona fide students of each campus. Whereas students who do not have enough access or have limited internet connectivity will be given enough load allowance to fill out the sensing form provided by the Student Development Fund or the internal funds of Bicol University Student Council. Whereas the members of each campus college legislative tribunal will assist the college student council in reaching out to each student. And whereas the sensing form is available during the first to third week of the month to give enough ample time in contacting each student. Whereas the collected data will be analyzed by college student councils every last week of the month, and the list of identified students will be forwarded to University Student Council. Whereas identified students will be granted the appropriate mental health consultation, counseling services, and financial assistance offered by the Bicol University Office of the Student collected through this form will remain confidential and will only be used for the necessary purposes of attending to the students' needs and contacting them if needed. Whereas to know and provide assistance to students of Bicol University in terms of their mental and financial capability during a health crisis, specifically a monthly sensing form provided by University Student Council must be implemented. Now, therefore, be it resolved, as it is hereby resolved to urge the University Student Council to implement a monthly sensing form. Resolve further that the copy of the resolution will be furnished to all concerned officers. Done is 14th day of March 22 during the Zoom conference. So, I move for the resolution for its first reading.